welcome back. I am the Crown Clown, and today we are doing What If Deku was Smoker, Part 6. So, where we last left off, Deku had just won the entire sports tournament collaboration. He obliterated Class 1B single-handedly, no help needed, none of that. He also chose to go to the internship with Endeavor. Seiji and Inasa chose to go with Gang Orca. Cammy is going with Midnight, and Mora is going with Best Genus. So, before we get into this episode, as always, if you guys like this content and want to see more, make sure you subscribe. Click that little notification bell so you never miss an upload every time I upload a video. And click that link down in the description. Join the Discord. We have a good time, because after Smoker and Zeus clean up, which Zeus will be up tomorrow, and it will be the final episode. I'm going to make it as long as I need to, and I'm going to put every single thing into that episode to tie it all up nicely. I hope you guys are going to look forward to that. It's definitely going to be one of the longer videos. So, as always, I am the Crown Clown, and let's get into this right now. So, where we're picking up is, it's the day for them to go out on their, internships. But before Deku can go off somewhere and before he heads on, Cammy, she says, "Hey, can we talk for a minute?" And Deku's just like, "Oh, yeah, sure. I was meaning to talk to you anyway." So, Inasa, Seiji, and Mora, they all head on ahead. And, Cammy's just like, "So, what's your answer? Because I know that you said that you'd give me one after the sports festival, but you never did." And Deku's just like, "Well, technically, I didn't say when after the sports festival. I just said after the sports festival." And Cammy's like, "Oh." And Deku's like, "But hey, if you want an answer, I can give you one right now." And Cammy's like, "Yeah, sure. Give me an answer." And Deku's just like, "Yeah, I'll date you. I like you and all that, but here's a few rules, though." And Cammy's just like, "Rules?" And he's like, "Yeah, every relationship has rules. So, here's mine. You don't own me. You're not gonna just blow everything up in my face. You're not gonna embarrass me in public. And, for one, have some faith in me. If I was gonna cheat or go out there and just be having other women, trust me, I would have had other women by now. But no. So have some faith in me. Trust me. Anyways, that's pretty much it, You can do you, but, just know every action has consequences. I'm not going to tell you what you can and can't do. I'm just telling you, don't ever embarrass me or make a fool out of me. Like, that's it. And Cammy, she's just saying, okay. And she says, same rules to Deku, So, Deku's like, alright then. So, Deku hugs her, gives her a kiss, and then he's off. And he's just like, finally got that drama out of the way. But here we go. Time for this one. So, Deku heads off, and he's actually up there with Endeavor. And as soon as he walks through the door, Endeavor's just like, "Izuku, my boy, that was some fine work you did at the sports festival." And, Deku's just like, "Oh, thank you." And he notices Shoto's there, and Shoto's just like, "You took out that whole class." And, Deku's like, "Well, they were insinuating that you guys were weak, so I made them feel just how weak they were in response." And, Endeavor's just like, "Exactly." And Todoroki, he pulls Deku off to the side, and he says, "Hey, there's this guy. He could be in our area, but his brother was crippled by the hero killer Stain after, everything went down." And Deku's just like, "Hero killer Stain? What's his MOs? Like, what is he all about? I've heard things about him, but I don't know what his standard MO for victims are." And he's like, "Wait, your dad's a detective and you don't know this stuff?" And Deku says, "My dad never shares sensitive information with anybody, not even family. And I don't go through his files out of respect for that. And so Endeavor, he's kind of interested in their conversation. He's like, "What are you guys talking about?" And Deku says, "Endeavor, do you know what the hero killer Stain's MOs are?" And Endeavor realizes, that the rumors are that Stain is in his area. And he's like, "Oh, so you guys are wanting to help track down Stain. Well, if that's the case, I have a whole lot of files here. Go ahead, look through them, and make sure you familiarize yourselves with everything. Izuku, that goes double for you. Your dad's a detective, you should be able to look through this stuff." And Deku, he sits down, he puts in his 2 cigars, and he's smoking, and he's searching through the files, and he notices that all his files indicate that Stain uses bladed weapons. And then he thinks back to his mom, and he realizes his mom was cut down. Not shot, not suffocated, none of that, but cut down. And he realizes Stain killed his mother. And he immediately gets pissed and he flips that whole table. Endeavor's just like, "What the hell?" He looks at Deku and he's like, "Izuku, what's wrong?" And Deku says, Stain killed my mother." And now Shoto, he's just like, "Oh shit." And Endeavor's just like, "Okay, calm down. We're gonna find him. We're gonna make sure he sees justice the right way." And Deku's just like, "Yeah, we're gonna hunt him down all right." And Deku says it's time the White Chase earned his name. And Endeavor sees that hatred in Deku's eyes, and it's fierce. Like, Endeavor might be like all fire and that, but the fire he saw in Deku's eyes way out, they just outdid his own. And the hatred he's given off, Todoroki can feel it. It's like the tension is so thick that you couldn't even cut that with a machete. It's so thick. And Deku, he's really just about to go off. And he calls his dad. And, Namasa being the nice guy he is, he answers his phone, even though he's at work. It's his son. So he answers, says, "Hey son, how's things going?" He's like, "Did you know?" And now Masa's stomach just drops, and he's just like, "Did I know what?" And he said, "Did you know that Stain was the one that killed my mother?" And now Masa goes cold. All the blood in his body just goes ice cold. His heart stops. He's just like, "Yeah, I knew. I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to do anything stupid, and plus it was sensitive information regarding to a case, and, I'm not even going to pretend to care about the reasons why you didn't tell me. But you're my father. I respect you. So I'm not going to yell at you. I'm just going to say, that hurts. That hurts knowing that you knew who killed my mother and did nothing." And now Masa's just like, "I haven't been doing nothing. Every single bit of free time I have, I am tracking this guy down." And then he realizes where Deku's freaking hero internship is in. And he's just like, "He's in your city, isn't he?" And Deku's just like, "Mm-hmm. And I'm here and you're not." Now Masa says, "You are not going to do a thing. You're not licensed yet." And Deku says, "Oh, trust me. I have all the excuse I need. If I run into him, sure, I'll help get the people out of there first, but I'm not letting him escape." And now Masa says, "Just calm down. Think. Don't do anything brash, please." And Deku just hangs up the phone on him. Now Masa, he slams his hand down onto the table and he's just saying, "And Chief, I need to go." And he's like, "What, where?" He says, "Hosu." And, he's just like, "What? Why are you going all the way out there?" And he says, I just got a lead on the hero killer. And, he's like, mobilize all police uniforms. I want a whole SWAT team out there searching those streets, going block by block, house by house if we have to. We're bringing this guy in and we're doing it the right way. Go now. So they mobilize. Like, they got the SWAT teams, they got the freaking everything. Like, there are so many cops in Hosu, and all the heroes, they're looking like, what the heck's happening? And they're seeing police detectives, commissioner is out there, just the whole force sweeping the area, going block by block, just house by house. And they're just like, what in the heck? And then they see Endeavor going house by house, block by block. So, the water here, well, I forget his name, but it's Ida's internship dude. He's going over there. He's just like, hey, what's going on? And Endeavor tells him the hero killer Stain's been supposedly spotted in this area a few times. So we've had enough of him. We're tracking him down. It's all forces mobilized because it's not just killing heroes anymore. He's killing civilians. And when he hears that, he's just like, what? He's killing civilians? Are you serious? And he's like, yeah, your intern, Ida, he might be on the look for him. So you keep a close eye on him and you keep him on a close leash. Ida, he's right there behind him and he's hearing that. And before he can run away, Deku's right there with Endeavor, and so is Todoroki. And he's like, Todoroki, I can understand why you're with your father, but why is he with you? And Deku's like, look, man, I know what you're going to do. I know you want to track down the hero killer. And Ida just blows up right in his face. He's like, what could you possibly know? That guy, he stabbed my brother straight through the back. He paralyzed him. And Deku gets in his face and he says, you just have your brother injured. That bastard killed my mother. And Ida sees the look in Deku's eyes, the hatred, and Deku just bites down so hard it snaps his cigars right in half. And Ida can see the hatred in Deku's eyes is like an inferno of hellfire burning inside of him. And Deku's actually not noticing this, but he's letting off smoke just come out of his body. And Endeavor's just like, calm down. It's going to be all right. We're going to get this guy, but we need to do this the right way. And Ida, he realizes that he's just mad because his brother is injured. But there are people out there who Stain has murdered and took away from them. And he's just like, I have a right to be mad, but, and, Deku's like, yeah, you have a right to be mad. But what you don't have the right to do is say you're going out for blood. You know why? Because you're a hero. We don't do that. Trust me, nobody wants him dead as badly as me. But you know what? I think that breaking that law, that crossing that line, would be a disservice to my mother, who always raised me to do the right thing. You going off half-cocked, is that what your brother would have wanted for you? Is that what he would have raised you to do? Is that the type of hero that he wanted you to be? And Ida's just like, you know nothing of my brother. And Deku says, that's where you're wrong. Because my dad's the detective, I meet a lot of heroes, alright? Ingenium was one of them. And that dude was a stand-up guy. Like, he followed the rules to the T. Dude was a proper hero, like, one of the best out there. Like, I don't get why Stain targeted him. I guess because Stain doesn't realize that there are actually still heroes that just want to do the right thing because it's right, and he's just too busy, sucking off All Might or something like that. But, he's messed up in the head. So, what we're going to do is bring him in, and we're going to do it the right way, which means us hero students cannot get involved. We cannot do anything rash that could risk him getting off after he's arrested. So, but what we can do here is crowd control. We can make sure no people go into back alleys by themselves. And what we're going to end up actually doing is planting some bait. And he's like, what do you mean by planting some bait? And Deku says, we're going to have a hero be a guinea pig for him. And Ida's just like, what, you're risking somebody's life here? He says, no, we're not. And he's just like, what do you mean we're not? And Deku says, because he's going to have his smoke in every alley around this entire city at the same time. If anything trips that smoke, he's going to know exactly where they're at, radio that team, and then head there himself. So Deku, he's really just going hard for this. And now Masa, he's actually called Yoroi. So Yoroi, he's on his way there too. And he's just like, okay, I'll be right there. And when he gets there, he steps right in front of Endeavor and he's like, what's the situation? And Deku looks at Yoroi and he says, what are you doing here? And Yoroi says, I'm the bait. And Deku's eyes grow wide. He's just like, what are you talking about? And he says, trust me, I made a public statement this morning to try and draw Stain out, thanks to your information. And Deku looks at his phone and it says, long time old traditional hero admits he's in it for the money. And now Stain is going to be heavily after me. And once he finds out I'm in Hosu City, sees me alone in a back alley, taking a smoke, which he just plucks a cigar straight off of Deku's coat, and he says, how could he refuse? And he says, hey, you got a light? And Endeavor lights the cigar for him, and Yoroi just walks towards an alley, stays there, and starts smoking his cigar. The police, they calm him down, but they're still watching the area. They still have the SWAT team stationed by, and Endeavor actually starts going out on patrol like normal with Deku. Deku, he's actually up there on a rooftop with his smoke going through every alley in the city. He's focusing so hard. And who he has watching his back is Ida and Shoto. Because with this much concentration, Deku can't, phase his body out. If he's concentrating on putting smoke in every alleyway and through every street in the entire city, that takes a lot of immense focus, which means he cannot focus on his own body. So that's another weakness he has. So he has Todoroki and Ida watching his back. And soon enough, Deku says, there it is. And they're just like, what? He grabs Ida and Todoroki by their backs of their outfits, and he just smokes his way all the way over there. And he sees Yoroi fighting Stain. And Yoroi, he's actually putting in some work against Stain. And Stain's just like, you fake heroes all make me sick. Doing it for the money and the fame. You should just be doing it just because it's what heroes should do. When did you lose your traditions? When did you lose your code? And Yoroi says, to be honest, I never lost it. I'm doing whatever it takes to draw out scum like you, someone who would kill a civilian, even though claiming that they're doing what's right because they're wanting to kill all the false heroes. So let me ask you, when did you start killing civilians? And Stain, he thinks back and he's just like, that green-haired woman was an accident. I didn't mean to kill her, but I was starting out. She would have alerted everybody to my presence. I couldn't risk that. So I killed her. And Deku says, and that's all I needed to hear. As he slams his Jite down so hard, it snaps Stain's sword in half. And, Yoroi, he's just like, all right, I'll allow this. And he says, but you're on perimeter control. If he tries to escape, you turn him back. And Deku says, gladly. And he's saying to everybody else, same drill. So everybody else is on perimeter control. Endeavor, he gets a radio call saying they found Stain. He's cornered. Endeavor, he jumps into the battlefield off the roof, and they're right behind Stain. Stain notices he's outgunned, like he has no chance of escape. So he tries to do the most reasonable thing. He takes his knife out and he goes to end his own life. Because to him, it's better to die as a martyr than to be captured by these false heroes. So, right before he tries to end his own life, Deku's there. Like, he is on him. He knees him in the face and takes him down, arm on the ground, and he has his foot pinned on it. His elbow is right up against Stain's neck, knee to the back. His other foot is on his other arm, and his last, hand is right there on his head. So he's got Stain put down and locked down. Stain's not getting back up. Police arrive, and, Namas is the first one there. And he sees Deku just right there, and he's just like, please tell me he didn't take him down. And, Yoroi, he tells him, no, it's all right. He did exactly as he was told to. And, he's just like, what do you mean? And Endeavor said, I told him, if he ever tried to kill himself, to take him down, since he can move faster than any of us. And it would have been a waste for him to kill himself, because that would have been information lost to us. We wouldn't have been able to know how many he killed, how many innocents, how many heroes, none of that, or if he has ties to that League of Villains. And so they're just like, that's true, all right. So they take Stain into custody, and they don't get reprimanded this time. There's no reprimand whatsoever, because everything was done by the book. They worked with the heroes, and Stain was taken down. But the incident, it still happens. All the Nomus start coming out of the woodworks, like everything like that. It's happening now, but later. Because now that they see that Stain's captured, and after he gets hauled off, and the heroes start to relax, that's when they strike. And Shigaraki, he's over there. He's watching the entirety just go down, and he's just so happy watching all the carnage, and that he will get all the credit for this. And with all the Nomus running wild, like, Endeavor tells Deku, Todoroki to just crowd control. If you see any civilians, make sure they get to safety first before you engage in combat, but protect yourselves at all costs. And he tells Todoroki to stick with him, and that Deku should be able to go around and evacuate more people more quickly. Deku says, all right. So Deku's on evacuation control. He's over there just telling everybody to, go, go, go. And he comes across 3 Nomus. And he's by himself. He pulls out his Jite, and he's like, all right, who's first? As, this tannish Nomu just charges straight at him. Deku, he's still in a pretty bad mood. So he uses, his increased smoke to just propel his arm so fast that his Jite pierces straight through the Nomu's brain, killing it. And he pulls his arm back. Nomus are trying to hit him, and he's just phasing through them, and he's beating them down. He threw one Nomu so hard that it went through a building. And then Deku, he took that last one that was about to try and fly off. He ripped its wings clean out and slammed the Jite straight through the back and through its heart, killing it. And he pulls that out. And the civilians are seeing how Deku's working, and they're like, that's the White Chase. The White Chase of Shiketsu High. And they see him, and he's just looking, and he says, please, continue your evacuation. And they follow his orders, because to him, like, he's a very commanding person. He has this presence that just demands obedience from everybody. So he got everybody to safety, no casualties from him. And then Todoroki, calls him, and he's like, we need you over here now. There's too many of them. And Deku says, I'm on my way. And as soon as he heads on over there, he sees one little girl hasn't evacuated yet. She's walking around crying. And Deku's just like, oh shit. So he sees rubble's about to fall. He knows he won't be fast enough for his whole body to get over there. So he makes smoke go around that little girl and pull her out of there. But just as he does that, one Nomu, the one he sent through the building and didn't actually kill, it comes back and it slashes him right across the face, giving him a scar that's just like post-time skip Smoker. Deku has that scar on his face now because he was too focused on saving that girl and not his own body. So, Deku, after receiving that scar, he's in pain, but now he's beyond pissed. Like, he's out for blood on all of them. He gets that little girl to safety and he takes that Nomu by the head and he pours his smoke into it just because smoke itself, if you put enough smoke on a person, it's still hot. It still retains some of the fire's ability. So it's burning that Nomu. He's burning the Nomu's brain clean out and incinerating its head through a more painful and slow burning process. But he eventually does. And that little girl, like Deku, he shielded her eyes from that because Deku, he's had enough. He's not playing softball anymore. He's playing hardball now. So he basically takes that little girl to safety, and her mother is like, I'm so sorry. We looked all over for her, and Deku's just like, be more careful. And they notice his face is bleeding. And she says, like, I'm so sorry for the trouble he caused. And Deku's just like, enough. Get this little girl to safety. That's all that matters. And everyone is recording Deku saying this. And then he just runs it right off. And while Deku's running, he's coming across more Nomu. So he's just like, enough of this. So he's impaling them with the Jite. He's roasting them alive with his smoke. And he does smoke jail and uses it to incinerate. So now it's smoke incinerator. So, yeah, Deku's not playing around with these Nomu anymore. He's there for blood. He's not going to take them alive. Nope, none of that. In his mind, they're not living. They're not things that deserve the same respect as a human life to him. So he's running through there, executing them all. And then he finally gets to where Todoroki and Endeavor's at. And he can see, Todoroki's on the fence. Like, he's worse for wear. And he sees Ida's over there with him, just trying his best. But Ida can't find a Nomu. Like, be real now. So, with all that happening, Endeavor's having to protect two people. And Deku just comes out of the air and impales a Nomu so hard that the Jite actually goes through the concrete. And it just sticks there. And Ida sees that and he's just like, what in the hell? And Deku just says, enough. And Endeavor can tell what Deku's about to do. So he takes those two, and he blasts up out of there. And Deku, he literally just does a smoke expansion just around the area. But it's not for containment. It's for incineration. So he wraps everything. And Deku gets so mad at this point, he just snaps. And he's turning, like, the buildings are turning into smoke. The ground's turning into smoke. All the surrounding areas are turning into smoke. Kind of think about an awakened devil fruit that can affect the environment. That's what Deku's doing now. Like, he's not doing it consciously, though. It's just like he's blacked out. Deku's not thinking anymore. His body's just reacting on survival instincts right now. So it's not something he's going to be able to do all the time yet. Smoker, like, he's a pretty tough guy in One Piece. So with Deku here, he's like Smoker if you add in All Might. So that's like a high freaking level right there. So, yeah, all the smoke, it's engulfing all the Nomu, and it's just like burning them alive. And they're just screaming out, and everyone is hearing that screaming, and Endeavor's looking. He's just like, "That's no way to die." And Shoto and Ida, they see that, and they realize like Deku's freaking lost it. Like he's so angry right now, and Ida just can't understand why. And after it's done, like Deku just falls to the ground, and Endeavor, he catches him before he hits the ground. He looks at Deku's face for a minute because Ida and Shoto didn't get a good look at his face. Endeavor notices like Deku's lost a lot of blood from his face. Like he's been bleeding pretty heavily. So Endeavor picks up Deku, he picks up his Jite, and Endeavor says, "I'm gonna use this for a minute." As he sees like this flying Nomu, Endeavor charges up a flame and engulfs the Jite in fire, and he throws it like a flaming spear straight through that Nomu. But instead of it being all fire and not gonna just dissipate, no. This Jite contains heat, like it holds in heat. So he throws it and it's just like melting the insides of that Nomu after it impales it. And that Nomu's in excruciating pain now. So, because all the metal, it is melting. Like, Endeavor just messed that Jite up. So, it's all melted now. But it's molten metal that's dripping into that Nomu's organs. Just burning them alive from the inside out. And, you know, that Nomu, it's dead. But painfully so. As, you know, Endeavor, he's kind of mad. And he takes Deku to a medical team. He lays him down, and they see that gash on his face. And now Ida knows why Deku is so mad. And, you know, Todoroki does too, because they see his face. It's got a full-faced scar now. And, you know, Deku, he's just like, that hurts so much. Because he's starting to come back. And, you know, Endeavor tells him, just rest. And, you know, the medics, they give him, you know, a sedative and they put Deku to sleep. So, yeah. Anyway, Deku, he's took to the hospital, and everyone everywhere knows what happened in this city. But there's a lot of videos going around online of Deku being very heroic, saving a lot of people. Someone even got the video of Deku taking a blow to the face from one of those Nomos to save that little girl. Everything's online, just circulating. So, you know, Seiji and Inasa, when they're with Gang Orca, they're looking at that video and they're just like, whoa. And, you know, Gang Orca's just like, that's your classmate. He's pretty tough. Like, there's not a whole lot of people I know that would have continued to save people with a blow like that. And, you know, Inasa's just thinking that he wasn't there. He could have gone there to help out, but he didn't. He chose to go with Gang Orca, and instead, he ended up getting hurt. Like, Deku got hurt because Inasa wasn't there to help him. That's what Inasa's thinking. And Seiji can tell that. And he says, look, man, just because, you know, you weren't there doesn't mean that it's your fault. Like, we both know how Izuku is. If there's something to help somebody else, like, he's going to sacrifice everything just to save one person. He'd lay down his life to save that little girl. If that Nomu would have slammed his fist straight through his chest, I'm pretty sure Deku would have had no regrets whatsoever for saving that little girl. I mean, I don't think he's that type of guy that would hold a grudge against you for not being there or anything like that. And, you know, Inasa reads more articles, and he sees the article where Stain was apprehended. And Seiji says, see there? Look. And then they both see the article, and they say, Stain has also been arrested for the murder of civilian Inko Midoriya. And that sends a cold shiver down their spine. Their hearts stop. They both stop breathing for a minute. And they realize what Deku had to have gone through. Like having to hold back and not kill his mother's killer to help arrest him the right way and then take a blow to that face of his that, had to have seriously drained a lot of his blood since he didn't even stop the bleeding. He just continued to save people and fight. And the state he ended up in, collapsing from exhaustion, like, that's no way Deku's gonna be 100% after this. Like, he's gonna have a lot of mental problems, some trauma. Like, Deku's just not even gonna feel like the right person. So they're worried about him. And Cammy, she sees that, and Midnight's just like, that's a tough call for that kid. He did what was right, though. He did what heroes are supposed to do. He, put his life on the line. It didn't cost him his life, but the kid's a serious hero. And now the White Chase is a popular name. Nobody's going to forget him anytime soon. I mean, they're already calling him the future #1 hero. This just proves it. And, Cammy's like, what do you mean? He's a person. He's not an ideal. He's not some symbol. He's a person. I understand that heroes have to put their lives on the line, but we still need to treat them like people. And what you guys are treating him as, you guys are just treating him as an object, not a person. What's wrong with you guys? And Midnight, she realizes that, and she's just like, look, in this line of work, heroes are objects. We don't get to call ourselves people. We don't get to say that, oh yes, we're in the spotlight 24/7 like celebrities, using our quirks without restraint. Like, come on now. We're tools. We're tools to keep order, justice, and if necessary, we're objects of war. So if you can't handle that, I suggest you quit being a hero. And Cammy says, no, you're wrong. That's what you are. You may be a symbol. You may be all of this and that. But me, I'm still a person. He's still a person. Like, you are a person. There's no reason why we shouldn't be treated like people just because we're heroes. We don't need to be put up on a pedestal as higher than everybody else. We're not, mightier than everybody else. We're just the same. The only difference is our job description. People treat police like objects as well, the military. Like, I understand we're on that same level as them. But here's the difference. We are the ones that interact with civilians every day. Police, sure, they interact with the community here and there. Military, never. We are doing everything. We wage war, we protect, we do, patrols, and we interact with the people every day. More so than police, more than military, more than firefighters, more than paramedics. We're there, everywhere, at any time. Morning, noon, or night, there's always a hero. There's always people that you can count on. But the way you just described him is as a tool, an object. And that is not okay. And Midnight, she's just like, kid, don't lecture me. I used to think that same way. But trust me, when it comes down to it, you haven't been in it as long as we pros have. You're just starting to get your feet into the water. Trust me, once you go in, you realize that the kiddie pool is actually 9 feet deep in your, over your head. And you either need to learn how to swim or you're going to sink and drown in this line of work. So I suggest, you take those idealistic hopes that you have. It's good to have them, but be serious here. This is an adult world, an adult way of life. It's good to be a hero for the kids or whatever, but be real. More likely, you're going to be saving adults, and adults aren't really just going to thank you or any of that. Like, they're going to see you as a tool, as something that they pay you to do a service for them. They're going to think that they're your boss, that they are the reason why you're around. So trust me, you have no idea what this world holds. And Cammy, she just kind of storms off, and Midnight says, "Where do you think you're going?" And she says, "To the hospital. I'm going to go see him." And she's like, "No, you're not. That's too far for a train ride. The trains are closed." And, Cammy, she's just in tears at this point because, Deku got seriously hurt. It's like, she's just, like, devastated at this fact. He finally accepted her feelings after a big fight, and then he goes off and gets himself hurt, gashed across the face, blood loss, collapsed, just all of that, and to just be called an object or a tool for justice. Like, she's just thinking that's too cruel. But that's the way it is. Mora, he sees this, and, Best Genius is saying he's a great hero already. Even though he just started out as, a student, he's going to be one of the best heroes there ever was. Like, this guy, he's going to be something big in this world. And Bakugo's hearing Best Genius praise Deku so much, and he's like, "What are you talking about? He's just a nerd." And Best Genius says, "You probably haven't even read or watched the videos, have you?" And Bakugo's just like, "Why would I do that? It's a waste of my time." And Mora actually gets in Bakugo's face, and he says, "You're not about to talk down to my classmate, to the leader of us. Like, you're not about to talk down on him. I don't care who you are. He's a great man. He's a great hero. You need to learn to shut up, have some freaking humility, and watch these videos now, or I'll make you." And Bakugo says, "Did you forget? I beat you so bad in the sports festival." And Best Genius says, Now, that's enough. Katsuki, sit down, watch the videos now, or I will fail you." And Bakugo, he's just like, all right, fine. So he sits down and he's watching the videos, and he sees the video where Deku takes that blow to the face, and he sees the blood dripping off of him, and he's just like, what the hell? And he sees that he, continues to fight despite that injury, despite that deep cut across his face, the blood that's just pouring out of his, wound. He saves that little girl, and he incinerates that Nomu. And then he sees the video where he's talking to the parents, and he says, "All that matters is that you keep that little girl safe," and then walks off. And then he looks at the other video where he's fighting alongside Endeavor and then collapses. He's just like, this is insane. Why would he go through all that? How could he keep standing? And then he reads the article about Stain, and his eyes widen, and he's just like, his own mother's killer? How did he not just kill that guy? And, Best Genius says, "See, he is a great hero. He's a lot stronger than what you ever could have imagined him to be." And Mora says, "I told you, he's a great man, and he's a lot better than what you will ever be. You're all too self-centered. He's not. He's there for the people every day. He would lay down his life in an instant to save that little girl. He would have died there, happy and content with his life. There's no doubt in my mind." And Bakugo, he's hearing that, and he's just like, there's just no way he would be happy dying like that. And, Bakugo says there's no way anyone would be happy dying like that, dying face down in the dirt after just saving one person. And, Best Genius says he didn't just save one person. He saved thousands that night. He will be held as a hero once he recovers. Like, you don't get it. The kid actually followed through with what a hero actually is supposed to do. If you can't do that, Bakugo, you have no future. And Bakugo hears that. And he's just like, what do you mean? He's like, I've seen how you interact with civilians, with kids, with other people. You just yell and cuss at them. Look at how he is. He's calm, composed. He says, it's all right. My wound is nothing. All that matters is that you get your child to safety and that all of you are safe and sound. He reassured them. He made them feel safe. That's what a hero's supposed to do. You cannot do that. And you're saying you want to be the number one hero? That's laughable at best. You need to pull your act together. And Bakugo, he's hearing all that, and he's seeing how Deku's comparing to him, and Bakugo is beyond falling short. He's not even at the same starting line as Deku. Like, if Deku and Bakugo were side-by-side comparisons, Bakugo feels like a hot dog stand next to a skyscraper at this point. Like, Bakugo, he still feels the injury that Deku gave him from knocking his soul out at the sports festival. And he just feels like even more belittled at this. But he's finally been humbled completely. Nothing that, he can say can dispute Deku's accomplishments now. He's finally been humbled and brought down to earth. So, Best Genius says, it seems now we can begin your real training, Katsuki. So, Deku spends the rest of his internship recovering. He's got stitches in his face, and so when they get back to Shiketsu, school on lockdown once more. So they're giving the students about another week off to talk about that incident at Hosu and how their students were involved and how one of them was seriously injured. So they're reevaluating how they're doing things. And they decide to cancel their joint training camp with UA High School. And that's actually where I'm going to be leaving it off. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, I'm the Crown Clown. I will see all you beautiful people again in the next one. Peace.